So, Kate Glock, welcome to In the Chair with. How the devil are you?
I'm great. Kind of fun to be on the other side of the chair.
Yeah, it's strange for me because I'm sort of interviewing someone I know, and you think that there's the fear is an interviewer be built in towards the people that you don't know, but it's kind of like if it doesn't work out with them, it's not personal. So when it's someone you know,
Yeah,
it's
you
a little
try
bit
really
more
hard today,
difficult.
mate.
Okay, so I know you quite well. I know you very well. But with our viewers, not so much. So, do you want to give us a brief overview of who you are, what you do?
Sure. I mean, that's odd. I mean, I'm Kate. Hello, everyone. And my project, Zero Micro Heaven, which is somewhat electronic, somewhat rock, and somewhat, yep, there you go, somewhat industrial, and most of all, experimental. Well, to me at least.
Mhm.
That's pretty much it. And I've just released my second single that I'm not celebrating way too much. I mean, the night is still young.
Yeah, they're not queuing up outside your house. Not just yet.
No, no, unfortunately not. We'll get there. We'll get
Oh, of course, of course, of course. Well, anything we can do to push that, links and stuff below. It's if you're watching the interview, it's not only important you watch the interview, but support the artists and the links and stuff below. So, I suppose we'll take it from kind of the beginning. Where did this kind of
there.
singing prowess that you have start? Because you're not just Zero Micro Heaven, you're also another band that I'm aware of,
No, no, I mean,
Lodestar. And you kind of do lots of professional work and you're very kind of well versed, excuse the pun, in in everything, top lining, lyric writing, singing, vocal development, all of that kind of stuff. So
yes, yes,
where
yes.
did it start? Singing in the bath?
Oh, that goes way back. I mean, no, no, it goes way back. Not singing in the bath. Singing in the bath, that's just odd. But I think it goes back to me singing in my dad's car,
I have.
like to the songs that he listened to. And that wasn't exactly any cool stuff all the time. I mean, some
Mhm.
of that was okay, but some of that was not quite my, well, what I'm listening to now.
No,
But
sure.
yeah, I was like, I don't know, 5, 6 years old maybe, and it's like, yeah, that's how far it goes. And then actually, I mean, my dad was like really into like new modern technology at the time, which now my niece has, which is really cool. I don't know if she plays it, but I hope she does. So yeah, and he brought that home, and I just started like, playing some what the hell I was doing anyway.
Sure.
Started
I'm
touching some
losing.
keys and thought, wow, this sounds really nice.
I'm
Yes,
losing
yes,
you.
but I don't know
Losing you.
if that's your internet connection or mine.
Yeah, I've got a little meter. It's yours. Don't worry. We'll blunder through. So when did it actually start to get serious for you?
As in bands,
As in
I'd say around,
band's career? Yep.
yeah, 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 I'd say around 2005. I didn't know what the hell I was doing still, but I knew that I had some good, good hearing, as in I heard like when I made mistakes when I was singing and when other people were singing as well. I thought, okay, I can do like this vibrato thing, just comes naturally, and I can like pick up any melody pretty much like really easily. And that still stands to this day. Like I can't go to karaoke because that's like a torture unless I'm drunk, which is pretty much never. So yeah, and I just found my first band. I actually went around town putting like stickers on the walls, like I'm looking
Hmm.
for a guitarist and for a drummer because that's how old I am.
Yes, yeah, yeah. They
The,
pre-internet.
yeah, yeah, pre-internet. That's very true. Us millennials, you know
Yeah, yeah.
that. Yeah, and then actually the one guy gave me a call and he said he was a guitarist, and I asked my cousin Anne because she was like very much into the whole thing and she was interested in how this all turns out. And we went to meet up with this guy, and, and then we were like walking past this meeting point, and we saw this guy with long greasy hair, and I'm like, nope. And we just sort of walked past and never heard from the guy again. But yeah, but then I just I found a website. Actually, I don't remember what it was called, but that's how I found the actual guitarist that joined my non-existent band. But we like gathered together at his place and we recorded a couple of my songs that I already wrote at the time. They were shit, but you know, first steps, baby steps.
Yeah, well, so it's all part of development, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. I wrote some songs. We like recorded that. I don't remember how it was all happening, like what kind of software he was using or any of that. It just felt a bit surreal because there was like this distorted guitar and I was doing the singing to it and it just felt so good. And then he knew a drummer and the drummer knew a bassist. I'm in the rhythm section for you, right? So we kind of arranged a practice and we gathered at a rehearsal space, and that was the first time. It was all like within that 1 year, like 2005, 2006, and then we just gathered there and we tried playing my songs with like distorted guitars and drums and everything, like the full backing track, and that just felt so good. I thought, fucking hell, like I'm loving this. I don't know if this is good. I don't know if my songs are good, but I'm loving this. And in that first year, we had like 3 gigs. I had a horrible stage fright, and actually my range back then was like the range that I was sure about was like 5 notes. So I had like more enthusiasm than actual skill. But isn't that how everybody starts, right?
Oh yeah, well like, sure.
Yeah. You think I can do this, like, you know, I can pick up a melody when I'm like, I don't know, cutting up vegetables into a salad in the kitchen. I can pick up a melody, I can carry a tune. And then turns out that you can't, especially when it's like a crowd of people in front of you and you're like, oh my god, that's just really awkward. So yeah, we played those 3 gigs. It was crap, to be honest. The musicians, I mean the bandmates, they weren't that great either at the start, but obviously they had been into that a little longer than I was, so they had a bit of a as I like to say, a little bit of a star grown through their brain. Mm-hmm. So they thought they were like, oh, like really cool, and this girl, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. And that was actually like within a year, like after 1 year, it was the end of this band because they decided to replace me with a rapper. And that was like really fucking hurting. Yeah. That was hurting. I left the rehearsal. I mean, I told you that story, but I'll repeat again for whoever's gonna watch this. And yeah, I just left that rehearsal space and I thought, well, fuck you guys, you know? I'm not gonna go and like stop making music, writing songs. I thought, right, I need to find myself like a vocals teacher, and I did, and it was actually a classically trained vocals teacher. That's why my first, like the first skills that I acquired are in classical vocals, so I can do opera for anybody who's interested. Hey. Yeah.
The Cup Chairs opera coming soon. Huh?
Yeah, sure, why not? Oh, that's gonna cost you, man. And yeah, that's like my first experience with the first band. But then I found, like I did like maybe half a year of vocal training, and I was into Evanescence a lot, and I still get compared to her quite a bit to this day. But I think it's just the curse of being a female vocalist singing to distorted guitars.
Yes, yeah, there is a bit of that.
Yeah, and having like a low voice, you know, low pitched voice, and everybody just says, "Oh my god, this sounds like Evanescence." And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Before I would get really pissed, but now I don't really give a shit anymore. Like, yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm being compared to the best, so there's nothing to be ashamed of, you know. It's not like I'm being compared to I don't know, some amateur singer or something.
Yeah, no, sure. So you do a lot of kind of work sort of independently through different kind of platforms and stuff. That's how I came to sort of learn about a project band called Lodestar. But yep. To kind of tie in with a bit of a sort of an educational series you're launching on our platforms, there's this little bit in the middle about a rejection letter from was it Universal Records or something?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Oh, there's really not much to talk about. I mean, I was in a band and we wrote like a 5-song EP at the time. It was kind of badly mixed them, and I didn't enjoy working with the sound engineer at the time because he was pretty lazy. It would be like we would show up at his place, record everything, and instead of editing and I don't know, like post-processing everything, he would just go, wait, isn't that it? I thought this is fine. And that's essentially the quality of the tracks that we had on there. I mean, that's essentially the example of how bad mixing can ruin good tracks, and that's exactly what I had to deal with. So yeah, I had I burned a couple of CDs because, again, that's how old I am.
Oh, back in the day, Jesus,
in the
yeah.
day.
Sitting there watching Windows Media Player, just like, and you get right to the end and something would go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it was struggling badly. So, but anyway, yeah, I got those CDs and I thought, oh, what the hell? You know what? I'll just Google these labels. They were like based all over London at the time, and I just shoved these into envelopes and I printed out like a letter, like a cover letter, and I described like, we are this band and we're like doing this, this, and that. And I just went to the post office and I posted those all around those labels in London. And actually, Universal Music was the only one who responded, and they actually sent a physical letter. Can you imagine that?
It was that bad. It was that bad. They had to write to you. Normally, they just don't respond. No,
yeah, exactly. They were probably thinking, "Oh, what the hell is this stuff?" But anyway, no, actually, I can send you the song that I sent to them later.
Excellent. Yeah, and I'll send my reply in the post. No.
If you want. It might get lost in Donegal, though. Irish Post, not the best.
No. There's a house. It looks a house. Doesn't matter about the address.
That's pretty much it. I mean, when we moved in here, I thought there's no house number. There's just the air code. How do you people know where to deliver stuff? You know? But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I received the letter. I thought, tough shit, and got on with my day.
Well, from I suppose from where I'm sitting, from that point in time, it's kind of escalated because you've kept yourself very busy and independent. Like, you know, how have you managed that? Because people start out with a dream and they kind of create music and they write stuff, produce stuff, and then they send stuff out to labels, and that's their kind of expected path. Then you get a bit older and wiser and you just think, well, actually, I'm in touch with this music thing, whether I like it or not, and I've got to kind of stick with it. But I also would like it to kind of help contribute to the bills, and then maybe progress to actually paying the bills. And then, but the areas that you end up working in, they're attached to what your initial dream, but they're not the same. And it's quite a process to go through. How have you kind of handled that, and is it better that way?
What, being a solo artist?
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely say it's better in the way that I don't have to rely on anybody but myself. You know, if I need to go and do a photo shoot, I just go and do a photo shoot. If I don't have the money for that, then I don't, you know, and I don't have to like sit here and wait for, I don't know, the guitarist or the drummer always being on like business trips or anything. It's like, I don't want to crap on my previous, you know, bandmates, or projects or anything. It's just, it's much harder when you're a front woman, essentially, and everything that comes with this word. It's not just like you front the band on stage, you know, and you're not just top lining the instrumentals that they send your way. It's actually, you're trying to run the band. You're trying to get like at least 3 people together in one place at the same time on the same day, and sometimes it's really hard, and at some point it just started getting to me. And then when obviously life took over, I guess it depends on how much commitment every band member has to start with. I think that a lot of things were holding on to my enthusiasm all this time. I mean, obviously all this time, like since the start, I've been spending more money on the music than it has been bringing me back. And I mean, obviously not the top line work. I'm talking about, you know, the creative side of things, like where I'm actually running these projects either with the band or my solo projects. So yeah, it's the enthusiasm. It's just the drive. Like I've tried taking breaks from music, but then just one night you're sitting there thinking, I like really want something, but I don't know what it is, and then you five hours later you find yourself writing a new song. You know.
Yeah, no, it's like the call of the wild. It's just once it's in your veins, you just can't let go of it. And in some aspects, it gets quite destructive if you do let go of it for too long. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah,
I have other things to distract myself from music when I feel like I'm burnt out, which happens quite a bit, especially when I'm trying to like finish a song within one day or within one night. Sometimes it happens as well. So yeah, I just need to go and do something else, whether it's like cleaning the house or
Oh,
cooking or sculpting, another one of my things that I do when I'm
well,
not doing music.
I can personally attest that cooking is actually a good sort of anti kind of, it's a good yin to the yang with music in my personal experience
Oh, you would know, yeah.
because yeah, I'm a chef, so and I love it because it's just sort of mania and it's a bit more social and it's just completely different. You know, musicianship these days is pretty much you're stuck to a DAW and it's everything's over involved online. Even like gigging, touring bands, whilst a lot of their time is taken up with that, so much of their time is just spent, you know, on all this associated stuff, and it's good just to get into something
True,
that
true.
you can feel, touch, see, smell, all that kind of stuff. So and I think, you know, the human body, despite its mind's preferences as to what it leans into in terms of how it kind of entertains itself, it does need different sensory kind of inputs, so make use of those. So
Absolutely.
it's good. Let's talk about the top lighting bit for a second. So you basically, excuse if I'm kind of giving very basic language to
That's all right.
your professional work, but essentially people will come to you for, you know, they've got lyrics, they want kind of vocals over the top, they want some harmonics, they might even want lyrics written. Is that kind of a broad assessment of your work there? And then following on from that, um, how do people have to show up do to show up for that? Because I'm sure you've probably had the best of the best professionally, and you've possibly had the worst of the worst. So where's the happy
Yes.
medium in that? Go ahead.
So the top lining thing, I mean, yeah, it's pretty much somebody who comes to me when it comes to top line writing. It's they just have an instrumental and probably some kind of idea, and they need like full vocal production. So that's where I step in, and I basically write lyrics. I write the lead vocals, background vocals, like harmonies, ad libs, you name it, and just send them a demo with their instrumental, like pre-mixed. Like I also like produce vocals in the sense that I add effects where I think something might work, like if there's like a delay or like stutter or something, whichever I think is good. So that goes to them, and then they come back to me, and most of the time they say, oh my god, this is really good. Like that very first guy that I worked with, he sent me these EDM slash electronic kind of industrial-ish synth pop-ish thing. And I thought, oh, that's really fun. And he's like, oh, I have been struggling to finish this one forever, and like, can you have a look at it? And I just went out there and just did my like usual stuff that comes rather naturally to me, if I'm honest. He's like, oh wow, I'm like so impressed, I can't even like express it with words. And I'm like, well, I don't know, fart into the microphone and process it, it'll be good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, I mean, I had some really, let's call them unprofessional amateur people approach me. But it's like sometimes I would just send a message saying that I'm like I'm like overly busy, I'm like booked for the next month, not to offend them or anything. Because no one asks me for advice, you know, no one sends their amateur piece of music and asks me for advice in the sense like, what do you think I can enhance in this? They just come in and think, oh, your voice is really nice, can you like write me something for this? And then I just don't. Like the other week I was approached by these people and they were like, oh, we already have like vocals written and everything, and lyrics, and they just needed me to essentially sing a part, but it was just so bad that I thought, nah.
No, yeah.
Just like I know myself, like I do need the, you know, to pay the bills, but when it comes to something that doesn't click with me in any way whatsoever, I'd rather not take that up, because I know that it will give me a much larger burnout than a song that I like and I've been working on for the past week.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's like there's this balance that I still need to keep, you know, my mental state in mind, not to go crazy from writing over something not quite up to, you know, my standards.
Are there any sort of do's or don'ts when approaching someone like you for top line kind of work? You know, is there three key areas that people must have covered, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a top line, just send us as much information as possible, as in, like, tell me if you have any lyrical ideas in your head, like, well, what inspired this piece of music, you know. And just as much information, I guess. But that, I mean, obviously when it comes to my work, it's not only top lining or singing somebody else's top lines. I mean, I've worked with this company called Simply Sing, and they needed like essentially a one-to-one reproduction of popular music. I mean, popular singers. And I mean, it wouldn't be in the same key because copyright, I think. It would be like a couple of semitones higher or a couple lower. But it was fun. It was fun. It's like, and the most fun one I did was Kate Bush running up that hill, whatever.
Yeah. What was it? Wuthering Heights or something like this? Yeah.
No, I think it's running up the hill.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's this piece at the end where I think she just walked into the studio and improvised quite a bit. There's like a couple of layers that are going on at the end of the song. And it's not singing, it's just some kind of crazy cacophony of sounds going on. And I had to pick it all up, and they were like, oh, that's like really impressive, just as good as the real Kate.
It's a good feeling when you can pull that together. I had a similar experience recreating an album where the hard drives were lost or destroyed or whatever, and then one of that band had split up, and the front person had gone on tour and basically wanted to kind of do a couple of those songs because that's what they were known for. So I had the privilege of kind of listening to this technical, I think it was like Dutch or Swiss kind of like super prog, you know, layering and having to put it together. That was good fun. Yeah, good fun. I miss those days. That was quite good, being able to sort of just unpick stuff. But okay, so out of the top lining, you see you have some kind of misery sometimes within there, but you also have some flourishing successes. Typically a band called Lodestar, because you met Jensen through your top lining work. Yes, so yeah, give us a quick overview of the story and your take on it.
The story's quite simple. He approached me and said, I got an instrumental, essentially. I have no idea like what kind of lyrical topic you're gonna use or whatever. And like essentially he just threw a bit of instrumental at me and said, have at it. And I did. I produced him a complete like complete top line, essentially, with production, with everything. It was just like, here's an instrumental and here's all the vocals that need to be on top of that. And that's pretty much it. He got impressed. I mean, I knew that he was an amateur musician. I mean, obviously at the time he didn't even think of himself as a musician. And sometimes you'd still find himself saying that he's not a musician.
I interviewed him last year, and we had that conversation. You know, so he's come along a long way. And how many albums has it been now? Oh yeah, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, we're working on the 4th one.
That's it. Now. Yep. It's there's a lot of releases single by single. I know because I tried to map out all of the individual releases on the website, and it's just like, wow. busy people, but good music. We'll leave a link of that below. And then that
yeah, like not too much of back catalog though, because the production on that wasn't quite up to standards.
But it's a journey, and you know, I think it's kind of appreciated by at least fans of music, because you know, you get to, but you discover an album like I did. Like I can pick a band and I can say I listened to their first album and it was absolutely brilliant at the time, and then I listened to it, you know, 4 albums later, and you hear the difference in the mix, and you go, well, that mix is poor.
Yeah,
but when they put out a remastered edition, I don't like it. Doesn't sound the same. Doesn't ignite the same feelings, you know. So I think it's just one of those things. So this brings us on to your new baby, Zero Micro Heaven. So how and why did this come about? And yeah, tell me all about it. It's an interesting name. I'd like to know how you picked that out of the sky.
Thanks. I knew you'd ask that. It actually also goes way back. And I mean, the name, it kind of was born from a joke with my cousin Anne that I mentioned earlier. And it's like, I was already in a band, I think, back then. And since it was like mid 2000s, like 2007 or 6 or something like that, and like emo was at large.
Yeah.
Emo core and everything.
Yeah.
And we were just like laughing at that, saying that one day I'll be in one of these emo core bands, and I just blurted out a couple of words for the band name, and there you go.
It's as random as that. See, I was expecting the zeros related to this, the micros this, and it's an absorption.
Well, I haven't quite finished the story yet.
Oh, go on. Oh, so I apologise.
That's all right. And yeah, that's essentially, I mean, the name kind of stuck. Well, the first 3 words kind of stuck. And then I was in a, was it like a post-hardcore band, actually, you know, similar to Enter Shikari, if you know who they are.
Yes,
that's
I've heard.
Yeah. That's where I actually learned my the extreme vocals for a bit. Because I had no choice.
Oh, they are good. Having heard them on a recent Lodestar track, that I really love it. I love your voice in any case, and there's enough evidence on the internet to support that from my camp. But when I heard the other track with you going sort of full distortion and stuff, I'm like, yes, it's so good. Sorry, carry on.
I'll send you a clip of my practicing. I'm sure you'll appreciate. I'm essentially singing. I'm singing the names of what I'm doing.
if that's fine, practice videos is all good, because it makes me feel better about my practice, which is kind of very poor at the moment.
That sounds like crap. Like, don't feel bad. But anyway, yeah, the name stuck, and then like a band that we knew at the time with the post-hardcore project that I was in, they sent me an instrumental, and somehow I just wrote a song, Zero Micro Heaven. Yeah, and it didn't go anywhere. It was just an unreleased track, and essentially I forgot about it. But then it just like came up all the time. The name, it just would come up all the time through the years. And I think around 2017 or something, I wrote a lot of, well, I mean, obviously unreleased, but I used to write a lot of piano stuff, like where I would just sing to piano. And I thought, that's when my thoughts like started going towards, shouldn't I start a solo project? And I even had a plan to release a couple of these piano back tracks under the name Zero Micro Heaven, but it never went anywhere further than just being a thought in my head. And yeah, and I was in the band and everything was good, and we were working on an album, and then we released an album, and then just naturally we drifted apart because, you know, life took over. The drummer went on really long business trips, so we never really performed anywhere. The guitarist started working as a teacher, and it's like it took a lot of his time, and he didn't seem quite as interested anymore, I guess. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and speculate on, you know, the reasons why people drift away from bands. And that's where I started trying my hand at writing my own stuff, and actually, like, Crazy People and Light was never
Yeah.
meant to be released. It was never meant to be released because Crazy People is the first song that I wrote as a solo artist, and it was basically just treading in the dark, because before that I had worked so long with one person writing music that I started doubting myself as a songwriter, and I doubted if I could write anything again on my own, and that was kind of scary. That's why there's a lot of piano in the song. I mean, in Crazy People there's a lot of piano.
Yeah.
There's a bit of electronics. Basically, I was just like testing the water, I guess. Sort of moving from my comfort zone, which is singing to piano, into something more electronic. And around that time, I also started getting inspired by Gary Newman. I guess that also was a big drive towards like the kind of sound that I wanted to achieve. But also, there's a couple of tracks by 30 Seconds to Mars that I like, which are Edge of the Earth and Capricorn, I think it's called, that were also inspiring to me. And there's a German band called Oomph, which were a big influence to me when I was, well, let's call it growing up, I guess. Yeah, like I was in high school and I was listening to them a lot. And they do mix a lot of electronic sounds with like melodic singing and everything. But then when I started this project, I mean, Zero Micro Heaven, I thought, I don't want to focus on singing anymore. I don't want to show off, because all the bands that I fronted before, they were like very vocals oriented. And I thought, I just want to, do more in terms of music and in terms of instrumentals. And it didn't go well. So yeah, I mean, Light, it was intended for my band, which I even showed to the guitarist, and I think we were planning on working on it, but somehow it just got forgotten among other tracks that we were working on at the time. And I picked it up, I don't know, half a year ago or something. I thought it's a really good song. I reworked some instrumental. I did some backing vocals that it was lacking. And here we go.
Here we are.
Today.
Yeah, indeed. It's a release date today. Second single, Light, out on all major streaming platforms. We'll chuck a link and stuff below. And hopefully it won't be longer till you're coming out with another one. And the story,
yes,
the story
it's actually
continues.
Already in the works. Yes, and
Good.
It's called Dark. How funny is that?
Oh yes, indeed. Okay, cool. Oh, it's an interesting project, and it's nice to actually just hear you, as lovely as it is to hear you with everyone else. But
yes,
it's always good to hear what comes out of someone's kind of sort of personal kind of domain. Yeah, indeed. So we've got about 3 minutes or so left. To those people kind of either sort of struggling or kind of they've got their letter of rejection from Universal Records or whatever however that rejection is framed, what's your kind of words of kind of wisdom, advice? Platforms yours.
Just keep going. I mean, rejection is not a big thing if you really love what you're doing. I mean, for fuck's sake, I got kicked out of my first band that I essentially made myself. And even my friend at the time said, how the hell are you like continuing this? Like I would have given up ages ago. And I'm like, I guess I just can't live without it.
No.
And that's just it. Just keep doing what you love and share it. Don't forget to share it. Sharing is important. I've been writing, as I call it, into the drawer for a long time.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
And now it's like every time I release a song, I feel more celebrated. Even if it's your friends, even if it's like your fellow musicians, I don't know, your bandmate, after all. and even if there's like one person appreciating what you do, it's rewarding, it's good, and yeah, just go on.
Yeah, it's one process to kind of get it out of you, but it's another process to kind of put it out there, and both are equally rewarding. The second lump is scarier, but I see what you mean there. And yeah.
Yep. As long as you appreciate it yourself, that's already good. I mean, just try to please yourself. Don't try to please anyone else. You can't please everybody.
No, no.
I've been in a situation where somebody would comment on either a song my band did or a song I did, and they would say like, "Oh, this would be better if it did this. Oh, this would be better if you did that." And it's like, when you have 50 people, like when is the stopping point where you stop trying to please other people while making your music? You know, it's like, when does it stop being my music? It's like, I'm sure you're aware of. It's like, when does it start being cooking from scratch, you know?
Yeah, no, indeed.
I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but like
well, yeah, exactly. And the same thing applies with food as well. I can serve up 40 of the same dish in a night, and you'll get one person that complains. It's like, oh, the salmon's dry, and you prod it and it's literally oozing. You know, you can't please everyone. And the same applies to mixing, mastering. Oh, you should treat the EQ like this. La 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 la.
Yeah.
But you can watch 10 YouTube videos telling you to do it in a different way. So remain individual, remain authentic, keep on going. Do what pleases you, overcome rejection, or just use rejection like a bit like being in a pinball machine. Just bounce off that onto the next thing, and that's your key to success. Thank you very much.
Tell your perfectionist to shut up.
Yeah. No, totally behind that one. So Kate, thank you for being a guest here, and we look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Yep, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Excellent.
I'll see you later.
Yes, indeed.